All right, awesome. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much, Vanessa and Arlyn, for joining me here to chat a little bit about Gustavo. What
Sure.
I want to capture is just what your process was like. We want to get through how you were feeling before you found Gustavo to work with, and then how you felt afterwards. So just getting through a little bit of those questions. If you want to really quickly just introduce yourselves, and that way we can go from there.
Sure. My name is Vanessa Rosa. I've been married to my husband here, Arlyn, for it's going to be 7 years this coming summer.
Sure. And my name is Arlyn Rosa. Married 7 years and known my wife for over 20 years.
Yes.
Nice. And you guys have a few little ones?
Yes, we have 2 girls, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So at the time when you were, and I think you guys purchased from Gustavo, or you guys worked with him twice, but at the second time, why was that a good time to purchase a home? Or if you wanted to share both times, why was it a good time to purchase the home the first time, and then the second time, why was it a good opportunity to move into a second home?
Sure. I'll take the first one then.
Okay.
Going to the first time and first experience when we decided to purchase a home, it goes back to when we just got married. We were, recently married, probably 4 or 5 months into our marriage. We were living in an apartment, and we were already contemplating the idea of, is it time, or when is the right time? It was more like more of a planning process. So, knowing Gustavo for quite some time, we never worked with him, but heard great things about him. We said, let's give him a ring. And we decided to sit down one day with him, went over numbers and looked over, everything that he can use and utilize to basically make a better assessment of our situation. Gave us the outcome and said, you guys are actually ready to purchase a home. And we were actually surprised. We thought we were still like about a year and a half away. So it was a good time to meet with him and help us make that decision after we saw the numbers, to obviously, get our new home, start our family. So it was a good experience working with him and walking us through that process the first time around.
Yeah.
And you could talk about the
and giving us that push that we needed, because being first-time home buyers, it's pretty nerve-wracking, and you're not really sure if it's the right time or not. But he was very confident in us, and we trust him. And as a matter of fact, my family has worked with him, and friends of ours, so we've known him for years. So we had 100% trust in his expertise.
Great. And so that second purchase, Vanessa, why was that second time a good moment for you guys to buy?
Well, again, the second time he and I were kind of talking about it, because we had had our second child. We just had her, probably she was a few months. And so we said, well, I think we're outgrowing this house already. It's been great, but maybe we should talk to Gustavo again and see if it's the right time, go over our numbers and see what he says. Sure enough, he came over and sat down with us, and he basically said, it's time. Why don't we go ahead and start the process and see what's out there, see if you guys find, your ideal home, and we'll take it from there.
And I will say there was no pressure.
None.
We actually had a couple conversations with him, which was actually really good, because coming and going into our second home, that was a bigger step for us, because now it's going to be a bigger home.
Right.
We have 2 kids now, so there's more variables in the equation, if you want to say. But obviously, with meeting with Gustavo, he sat down with us, made us feel comfortable. As always, when you feel that you're ready, but here are the numbers, we can go over them again. And again, we did end up calling him a couple times just to make sure that our numbers were accurate. We were on spot on, and he was always patient, always willing to answer our call, and basically, hear us out and say, hey, just let us know. And sure enough, we decided a couple days later, I think Gustavo, we're ready, and that's how that whole thing happened. But it wasn't just the purchase of a new home. We had the new variable with it, which is now the sale of our home at the same time, with the loan, with everything else with it.
Yeah.
Wow. So Gustavo, I think you guys worked with him on the sale of your home, the purchase of the home, and also the loan. Is that right?
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Was it more, or how was it working? Having just one person to work with for all of that.
I guess
to me it was a plus.
It was a plus. Like I say, if it's a one-stop shop for me, that's what I prefer to go with.
Yes.
But also you have to trust that too. You can't If you don't trust it, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And he made it much easier to make the decision to just work with him and obviously work with the guidance that he can provide us. That.
Awesome. So you kind of shared what it was like before. You shared a little bit of like what it was like after you met him. Just a little bit, if you can get into a little more detail, I guess, in the process, maybe how often he kept in communication with you. Did you guys meet for lunch, or what was that process like?
It was more than just like a business like process, because we, like I said, we've known them for a long. My family and I have known him for a long time, and since this was our second home, he would come over anytime we had questions. He was always available on the phone, email, text. I think we had a couple of meals, right, together, right?
Yeah, and kind of just to add to that, his availability was always, he was always accessible.
Yes.
But I'm not saying that just because we've known before that. I also because of the experience I had the first time, I actually recommended him to a couple of friends of mine that actually also did the loan, did the purchase, and have done it again with them the second time around. So and the same experience they felt, same connection. So there was no difference between how long we knew them. He treated everybody the same, like if they were family.
Right.
And he wanted always to look the best of the interest, and was always, blunt about it. If the numbers didn't make sense, he's not going to force you to that. And I think that's what you want to look into when it comes to a real estate agent, not to be forced to be into something that you're going to have and not be successful in.
Right.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that definitely, that was going to be my last question there is, what would you say to anyone who is looking for a loan officer or real estate agent right now?
Definitely someone who is not pushy, right? Who's trying to just make their commission, let's say. That was a huge thing for us, right?
It was really, and he's very calm, very patient about it. And the key thing is, you don't want to feel rushed through this. It's one of probably your bigger purchases, you can say, outside of having just a wedding, if you're paid for a wedding. It's one of your biggest purchases that you will have in your life. And it's the same time you can look at it as an investment, that you can rely on, because from our first home, if it wasn't for that first stepping stone, it actually helped us get into our second home. When we sold it, we were able to have that extra equity. So like the timing of everything, when we spoke with him and when we did the numbers, it all fell into place.
Right.
Great.
So you need to find someone who is very patient. As we're humans and sometimes we get impatient, but someone who's going to just understand your situation. You may be nervous at times and have a million questions, but someone who you feel is really going to take the time and listen to you and hear you out and give you the best advice, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And he did.
And he did. Definitely.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, no, that sums up my questions. Thank you so much for being on. Any last words? or at all?
Sure. I'll, just reiterate, what we said. If anyone's looking for an agent or a loan officer, we highly recommend Gustavo Corona. Like I said, you won't go wrong with it. He's never going to pressure you to go with him. If you decide to move with him, you will not look back.
Right. You will not find it.
All right. Thanks so much, Vanessa. Thank you, Arlyn.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
You
you
too.
too. Bye-bye.